Hi, welcome to City Scene with Mayor Mike Cahill. I'm your host, Walt Kosmowski. Mr. Mayor, welcome.
Hi, Walt. Great to see you.
Great to see you here on this Tuesday. And is this the 1st of November? I think it
November
is.
1st?
November 1st, yeah. So let's start right off.
Can we jump right into you? Before you ask a question, I just would tell you, because this is, now that you're retired.
Yes.
And you're just looking so relaxed and you're going to the gym all the time. And I'm glad to be doing this, and that you're still interested in doing some shows here and there. But how's it going?
You're turning the tables on me here. I'm supposed to be interviewing
just for a minute. Just for a minute.
Well, as you know, I'm still doing my show, North Shore Journal, which I've been doing since about 2004. I'm still doing your show as we sit here do it. I'm doing Joan Lovely's show. I'm volunteering at the North Shore Music Theater as an usher. I'm also volunteering at Beverly Bootstraps, going to the YMCA like every other day. You know, the only thing I'll tell you, the biggest problem is I'm not sure what day it is, because when you have a week, a Monday through Friday and a weekend, those are kind of like mileposts that you use. But when every day is kind of like the same, you kind of, is today Wednesday? Is today whatever? But anyway, I'm loving it.
It used to be easy to know that. You went by what night the Carol Burnett show was on, what night Bob Newhart was on.
There you go. There you go. That's right. As a fellow, person who grew up with those TV shows in our era, that's exactly right. Yeah. So. If you're done interviewing me, I'll turn the tables.
Sure.
So let's talk about something that's really on a lot of people's minds now. I understand that the city will be offering COVID booster shots, and they have more self-administered test kits to give out. Can you bring us up to date on that, Mike?
Yeah, sure. So first I'll say, and for a lot of the things we'll talk about, it's easy enough to go to the city website at beverlyma.gov. And a lot of this information is there. Our health department is working in partnership with other, health departments around the North Shore and doing a series of COVID booster vaccine clinics. This is the latest vaccine. And so we're doing one here in Beverly, November 15th.
Okay.
2:30 to 5:30 at the Senior Center.
Okay.
So November 15th, 2:30 to 5:30. But there'll be a handful of others in Salem and Danvers and Peabody.
Okay.
That people could go to if that's more convenient.
Yeah.
And this is, it's a great opportunity. You also asked about test kits.
Right.
The federal government has sent us another supply of test kits, the rapid test kits. And you have to do what you've done with the last couple groups we gave out. There's a sticker on the box with a QR code. You hold your phone up to it like you would do a restaurant menu, and it tells you what the new expiration date is. They all had expiration dates that really were unrealistic. They were too soon.
You got it, and it was like a week
still
away.
Good. Yeah. So we're going to be giving these out. You can get them at the library. You can get them at City Hall. You can get them at the Senior Center. If you're there already, for other purposes, or if you want to walk in and ask for some. We also are going to do a couple of drive-throughs. Let me just get the dates right, but again, it'll be on the website. November 17th and December 8th. And those will both be at Beverly High School.
Okay. At
the front of the building, drive-through, past the main office up front. So November 17th and December 8th from 3 to 7 p.m.
Okay.
And the reason we're targeting those times is it'll be before Thanksgiving, it'll be before the holidays, when people may find the need to test. And what we did the last time was we said, anybody coming through could take home 4 kits. So that's 8 tests.
Okay.
We've got a good supply from the federal government. We want to get them all out there.
Obviously, yeah.
So we'll do that, and we'll see where it gets us, and we may be doing another event or two after that. We want to just keep trying to put in people's hands the ability to know with some degree of confidence, as the rapid test kits show, whether or not they are positive if they feel they've had an exposure.
And all people have to do is drive their car up, and they'll be handed the tests.
And they also, as I said, we'll be making them available at various municipal buildings during regular hours we're open.
Makes sense. Now, let's talk again about something that's happening next Tuesday, a week from today, actually, is Election Day. And I guess one question is, can people still early vote at City? I know my wife and I voted at City Hall a few days ago. Yeah. So question one is, can they still do that? And what about mail-in votes? Is it too late to mail in votes now, or tell us where we stand there?
Right. So on the early in-person voting, it's been going on for the last week plus, it's going on for the rest of this week. So whenever City Hall's open, you can vote.
Okay.
So that means tomorrow, Wednesday, 8:30 to 4:30, Thursday, 8:30 to 7:30 p.m., and Friday, 8:30 to 1.
Okay.
And as of 1 o'clock this Friday, the early voting will be done
Will be
in
over.
person.
Okay.
So, but still another 3 days to come in and vote in person if anybody wants, and that's on the first floor. The clerk's office has it all set up in the hallway. It's been going great. Good number of people have taken advantage. If you have your ballot at home and you
Yeah.
haven't mailed it in yet,
Yeah.
you can still do that. It must be postmarked by Election Day.
Okay.
So
by
next
the
Tuesday,
7th.
November 8th.
8th. I'm sorry, November 8th. Yeah. So it has to be by midnight of
A week from today. So it has to be postmarked November 8th. I don't think it can get postmarked after the post office is closed.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, I wouldn't wait till next Tuesday
No,
either.
of course not.
But if
Yeah.
it's postmarked by next Tuesday, November 8th, then it'll be official, it'll be counted.
Yeah.
You also, if you have it at home and you want to, make sure of it, we have 3 drop-off bins. We have one at each of our fire stations.
Okay.
And we have one in the back foyer, the back entrance of City Hall.
City Hall, right.
And those are available, the one at City Hall is available 24 hours. You can get into that back foyer after hours.
Yeah, that little.
So those are opportunities as well. If you've got a mail-in and you're not sure of when you're going to be able to mail it, you can take it and put it in one of those drop boxes.
Sounds good. Okay, we want everybody to vote, right?
Actually, let me say that again. The drop box right now at City Hall is actually outside, just before the steps into the back foyer.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Now let me ask you a question. Now we changed, the city did, our trash hauler folks here earlier this year. I know there were some issues early on, and I think some other communities, if I remember reading the papers, they were having some issues as well with that same. Can you give us an update on that, Mr. Mayor?
So we didn't actually change our haulers. Republic, which is one of the largest, I think they're the second largest waste and recycling hauler in the country.
Yeah.
They bought JRM.
Okay.
JRM is a smaller, started as a family-owned, still was a family-owned business when they sold. And JRM had business in a good number of cities and towns around the region. But Republic bought them. They kept on all of the JRM employees. So there's some good continuity there.
Right.
Okay. There have been some challenges in a couple of other communities already this fall, particularly with leaf pickup.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that yet in Beverly, but we're paying close attention.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's been so much about Republic as about staffing challenges that everybody happens to be facing
Yeah.
right now. But the good thing is the JRM employees who know the city are still working on those trucks. There's a gentleman from Peabody who's been JRM's rep here for years, and he's somebody that knows Beverly well. We know him well. So there is continuity. There's one important change that I want to make sure people understand. For years, we've been separating our recycling into 2 separate bins, right?
Right.
Paper and cardboard and plastics and glass, right?
Right.
And cans. We've now, in talking it through with Republic, agreed that they now are, and they've already started, they'll take single stream recycling. You don't
Right.
have to separate them out.
Yeah, I noticed that we saw them mixing them in, and we thought, why are we segregating this when they were? Yeah.
Well,
okay.
that was a common complaint that people had.
Yeah.
We kept being told, look, you keep it separate at home for up to 7 days. It keeps it from being intermingled for too long until we take it to the plant. But look, that's all in the past now. Most communities around the country are in a single stream. Now, you can still separate out. You can
Yeah.
still put multiple bins out.
Yeah.
You can put as many recycling containers out as you have recyclable
Yeah.
materials. They'll pick them up.
Okay.
But they can be intermingled.
Okay. So I can use the big bin that I usually put paper in.
40-pound maximum.
Yeah.
If
But
it's more than 40
glass
pounds,
in.
then they won't pick it up.
Yeah.
So remember that.
Yeah.
You can use a big toter, absolutely,
Yeah.
but the weight is probably the biggest limiting factor because they don't want their employees
Oh.
to get hurt and be out of work and all of that.
I know that if I can't push it down the driveway,
Then they're not picking it up,
It's
yeah.
not picking it up. Okay, very good.
But that's a good improvement,
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that. And now, I also, in the interest of our community and our citizens, I know that the city has hired an energy consulting firm, and nowadays, of course, we're all concerned with making homes more energy efficient, saving money, cutting greenhouse gas emissions. So, tell us what this company is going to do and how that's going to translate into what we tell our citizens to do.
Sure. We applied for a grant, and with this grant, we, among other things, we hired this energy coach and this energy firm. Their name is Homeworks Energy. Now, they're one of, a number of them who are licensed to do this work in the state. But taking a step back, we all as electric customers, we pay a certain amount extra on our bills, and we have for years to fund this state program called Mass Save. And most people by this point have had Mass Save, audits of their home.
Yeah.
But some of them, last audit I had was 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So you can do an updated audit. And Homeworks Energy is one. They're the one we're contracting with. So if a Homeworks Energy representative calls you, solicits you as you walk into the store, comes to your door, they are here working as an agent of the city in that sense, right?
Okay.
As part of the grant.
Okay.
You can work with another energy consulting firm. We just wanted to get as many touches, as many opportunities for people as we could. And so we have two things going on. One is for commercial properties and one is for residential. And the goal here is to help you make your home or your business, your structure, your building more energy efficient, which will, as you said, decrease greenhouse gas emissions from any fossil fuels that are used to heat and cool your home or your business. And it'll also save you money on your utility bill, which everybody's worried about right now because the utilities, including National Grid, which is ours, have been pushing to increase their rates significantly this winter to cover the increase in costs that they're seeing.
Yeah.
The other piece of this, so it's things like insulation and windows and lighting, and it's also an opportunity to look at your heating and cooling if you've got central air, your systems in your home, and change those to an electric system which doesn't automatically burn gas or oil. Electric systems can be supported with solar on your rooftop if that's, if your house is suited to it.
Yeah.
Those are decisions that you have to make as an individual homeowner. And if, we have been with this grant also training some local city staff and volunteers to help with those type of conversations as energy coaches. So anybody can reach out to my office at City Hall for conversation around that as well.
Well, as you know, we've talked about this before. I do have solar panels on my house, and I also have heat pumps. And I can tell our viewers that if you have the capital, if you have the money, it's one of the best investments because I've paid $0 for electricity for the last four years. But on the other hand, I'm like you. I haven't had an energy audit now. It seems like 8 or 9 years. Right. So if folks out there get a call from Homeworks Energy, this is a free assessment, and they'll come out and they'll do a new assessment on your.
Right. The audit is they provide the audit. You don't pay for it.
Yeah.
There are things that you can access for improvements to your energy efficiency for no money or for short money. And then there are other things that cost more. So you want to take a close look at at the opportunities that are there.
Yeah. Well, that's a great.
And when I say no money, it's funded, as I said.
Yeah.
These things are funded through Mass Save, which we have been paying for years on our utility bills.
Sure.
And that all was created under state law some years ago.
Right. Beautiful. Well, it's coming into the holiday season. We're just a few weeks away from Thanksgiving. And speaking of Thanksgiving, we all know that the holiday parade is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and for those people who can't go downtown, BevCam always is out there in the street and broadcasting it live. And I believe it starts at 1 o'clock. It's the 27th. It's a Sunday, the 27th. Anything else happening that weekend that you want folks to know about?
Yeah, sure. And first, we're always excited about the holiday parade, and you folks do a great job with it. I don't know who your co-hosts are this year, but they're usually really gregarious,
they're fun people,
folks to have out there in front of the community, and I always love marching in it. Other things. Small Business Saturday will be the Saturday after Thanksgiving,
right?
And it's an opportunity, throughout the community. There'll be lots of special events. I think at our local retailers. And I just want to encourage people as much as possible to shop locally throughout the holiday season. We get a lot of wonderful small business owners in Beverly who really have fought hard to, to stay viable and come through, COVID and are trying to build back. So, I'm excited for that Saturday after Thanksgiving and for the whole holiday season for our local retailers. The other thing is we'll have, and let me make sure I get the date right, we typically have a tree lighting that weekend. Friday evening, tree lighting. That tree lighting will be in the park next to City Hall. In recent years, it's been over in the Common, but we're rebuilding the bandstand over there. So
it's in the little park there. Okay.
Yeah, we got a beautiful tree next to City Hall, and we'll
so
use
we got
that.
Thanksgiving, tree lighting, special events, and then the holiday parade. So that's a big weekend. Yeah.
And then there'll also be, as we get on towards Hanukkah, there'll be the menorah lighting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the details on when, but we'll be sharing that out as we learn.
Yeah. Now, something that the city is, and I know you're a big proponent of this, in renewable energy. We've got solar panels popping up all over the city. I know we got a big, huge solar farm right across from the North Shore Music Theater across 128. We've got solar panels out here over they're working on it right now, in the high school parking lot. What can you tell us about that? How's that been, and what else can we expect?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this has been an ongoing effort for years now. When I took office, I sat my team down and I said, let's see where and how we can host solar. We want to host it everywhere we can on city property because it's clean and renewable energy, and we need to kind of do our part to help drive the overall power grid to to clean energy, so we can drive down the carbon emissions. Before I became mayor, Mayor Scanlon and his team, they were able to get an agreement for solar array over by the airport. That's been in place for a number of years. We've now gotten the 5 megawatt array on the old landfill between Brimble Ave and Centerville, going north on the highway.
Right.
Right now, we've got a 6-site array, another 4.5 megawatts, and so it's at the high school and it's at the middle school.
Yeah.
You'll see, big parking lot canopies at each school. There's a replacement going on of the 40-year-old Hillside solar array at the high school.
Right back here.
Exactly. Yeah. And rooftop at the new middle school. We already have rooftop here at the high school. And then we've got parking lots downtown, 10 and 11 Pond Street, that are almost complete. They're
working on it right now. Yeah, I driven by there recently.
This week they're putting solar on the roof of City Hall. They've already put it on the roof of the senior center. So a bunch of different pieces to that, and it's taking place at multi-sites. Next will be the new police station. Right. Part of the plan when we built that was to put solar on the roof and a parking lot canopy over the parking area. And then after that, we've got 5 elementary schools and the McEwen preschool center that all are going to be having new roofs put on in the coming years. And that's an opportunity at that time to, at those several sites, look to do rooftop and maybe again some parking lot canopy work. So looking to do as much as we can, because the future of how we heat and cool our buildings, how we deliver electricity, it's going to have to be clean.
Yeah. And of course, there are private owners, property owners, that are putting up solar panels. The Denver's Port Yacht Club is in the process. They've got a huge parking lot over there, and they're putting solar panels up there. So they're contributing also to that effort. And of course, just next door, while we're talking about solar renewable energy, just next door, the wind turbine plant there that's going to be making in Salem, that's going to be big for the whole area. That won't just be helping out people in jobs in Salem, but all over the area. And that's they're going to be actually building the turbines that will go out onto the on-site offshore. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's going from the very micro right up to the macro. Our electric school buses, when they're fully charged and they're sitting in the yard, especially in the summer during those hot afternoon and evenings when the energy demand gets so high, they're selling electricity to the grid so that people can use their air conditioning at home.
Right.
And that's clean energy. So, the need is great. The move is on to electrify our transportation system. I say our, the world transportation. The move is on to electrify building heating and cooling. And the building footprint worldwide keeps growing, but at the same time, we collectively have got to cut greenhouse gas emissions to zero.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Salem, and you mentioned their part in the offshore wind that's going to be coming.
Right.
And that was a big state effort that they're permitting almost, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but they're permitting about 800 megawatts initially. And then Connecticut and Rhode Island each piggybacked on the Massachusetts procurement, and they're doing another collectively 800, so that's 1.6 gigawatts. And then there's a second round of that. So this deep offshore wind is going to be really valuable and important. It's going to power, tens of thousands, and I don't know the exact number, but, of homes. And that's where, it's everybody doing their part. And a lot of places, if you do it at your home, you can keep that electricity behind the meter, meaning you don't have to send it out into the rest of the grid. You can use it at home.
Yeah.
And then when you don't need all of it, you can send out what you don't need. There's a lot of different pieces to this.
Well, my meter runs, they install a new meter when I put my solar panels, so it runs backwards and forwards. So when I'm not using the power I'm generating, it goes to the grid. If I am, then it stays in the home. You mentioned electrical vehicles, and I know that, the state, I had Joan Lovely here talking with her last week, and the state has a plan for net zero gas emissions, greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, and of course there are all kind of incentives now for electrical vehicles and different things like that. So that we're all kind of in this thing together, because it really is a global issue, a global problem with temperature change and global warming and things like that. Now you mentioned the new city hall, but let's talk about old. You mentioned the new police station, excuse me.
Right.
Let's talk about the old police station. Are there any is there police presence in any of the old facilities, especially the one at City Hall now, or is that?
Oh, no. So we are now, we hired a project manager. We have putting the finishing touches on bringing a designer on board. And now the kind of the guts of the work on what's going to happen next with that building are going to happen in the coming months. We need to rehab City Hall. At the same time, we need to figure out what to do with that building that was the police station. It's adjacent to, it's got a couple of connections to City Hall.
Right.
We have to figure out, what's the right course with that. Is it a gutting it and rehabbing it? Is it a partial tear down with new construction, or a complete tear down? I don't know the answers to those things, but those are the questions that are going into the work that our designer team is going to start taking us through. So for the next several months, we'll be working on just what the future of that, and what we need. We need to bring our inspectional services department back. They're off campus at the GIR hall.
Right,
we need to bring the health department back. They're at the senior center.
Right.
We have departments in City Hall that have too many people in too few square feet. That really. So. And this was even before COVID. We had just people. We have people sharing office space in a way that,
not a lot of fun.
It's not optimal to getting work done. You people who are sitting right next to each other and need to be able to, read things, evaluate, think critically and clearly, participate in meetings. So, we have needs for our existing staff, both on-site and off-site. We've got to figure all that out. So that project has been undertaken, and it'll be going on for a bit now. Our hope is that within a year to a year and a half from now, we'll be under construction in the rehab of the existing building. And then whatever happens next door with the old police station building.
Yeah. Now, are there any other building projects that are perking here in addition to what you just described?
There are. We're on the same track with the McPherson Youth Center. We're just about to bring a designer on board. We've had a project manager in place. Now bringing a designer on board to look at what the programmatic needs are, what the service needs are for our youth and teen population through the youth center, and that's going to help us determine what to do, whether the building there is what we need or whether we need something additional. Mm-hmm. We also got a grant recently from the state to evaluate the resilience along the Bass River coastline against the coming sea level rise.
Right.
Sea level rise during normal times is one thing, and then there's what happens during big storm events, during high tide storm surges.
Sure.
So we've got to get a better handle on that campus and how we make sure that whatever we do there moving forward for teen services, for youth and teen services, is physically viable and resilient against that type of flooding that may come from time to time during storms.
Now, so we haven't talked about this in a long time, but the carriage house at Lynch Park, is that what's going on there? That is, we did some work there, and then it just kind of got put on hold. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we have a number of critical assets that are, that have significant needs for if they're going to continue to be to be viable. So the carriage house is one, the golf and tennis clubhouse is another. There was a study done of the carriage house, and it really, the next step is to go with a deeper dive.
Yeah.
Because we did that with the golf and tennis clubhouse. We brought in a project manager to, and a designer to look and see, just what needs to happen. It's one thing to do a fairly inexpensive kind of you can only get so much for $50,000, which is, I think, what was the amount that was put into the carriage house. So we have a sense of what it needs.
Yeah.
We did the same thing on an earlier timetable with the golf and tennis clubhouse, which then led to a greater investment to really flesh out what are the steps needed. It shows that both of these historic buildings need significant investments. So the next question will be how to fund them.
Yeah. Now, we're talking about building projects. Now, what about road projects? I have to say that in the last few years, you have had your engineer and construction hat on as head of the city, and there have been some fantastic projects. The rotaries have just turned out to be, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but some of the folks that were predicting gloom and doom at some of the rotaries and traffic backup, that hasn't happened. Those rotaries are working extremely well, and I drive through those 2 or 3 times a day. And any other road projects there? I know that there's construction right out here on Sawyer.
So I've got a checklist for you.
All right.
We're coming up towards the end of the construction season, right? I mean, you obviously, you're limited in what you can do during winter months, but the Elliott Street work from down by Beckford, McPherson area on up to Green Street was done recently, and that has been desperately needed. The plan has been over the last few years to try to get some Elliott Street work done before the Bridge Street reconstruction starts. The Bridge Street reconstruction is supposed to advertise next spring, which will bring a contractor on board to hopefully start work before the end of next year. But that Bridge Street project will be a couple of years in construction. It's from the Danvers line down to the Hall Whitaker Bridge. It's to rebuild Bridge Street, rebuild sidewalks, improve safety and visibility in sight lines, and improve drainage. Rebuild some of the key intersections along the way, all meant to move traffic more predictably and safely, and to make sure that bike and pedestrian access and enjoyment in those neighborhoods and along that corridor is there. So we've been trying to do a lot of work on Elliott Street before that gets going. We still need to pave from Green Street or County Way to the Danvers line on Elliott Street, likely to take place early next spring. We have some water and sewer work that the city needs to do along Bridge before the state reconstruction work of the road comes in. That'll be going on in the coming years. So there's a lot still, and that's necessary to do. A separate issue is the fact that the state came in and closed the Hall Whitaker Bridge. Right. That's which is we're working daily on that process. Came here from a pretty lengthy phone meeting on where things are at with some of the work that MassDOT is doing right now to figure out how to quickly and effectively permit and build a temporary bridge across the Hall Whitaker that can stay up all the way until the permanent Hall Whitaker Bridge is open for use. So there's a lot there with the bridges. There's also a lot there in road work. Some of the other areas of the city on roads, we're just about done with Western Ave and Ryle Side. Beckford Street got all new sidewalks this year. National Grid has got to come in and do some utility work so that we can then go in and repave Beckford next year. Colin Street is getting the sidewalks completed from Heather down to Brimble at present, so we can get in and pave next. That's been trying to get the utility in and out of there has been a bear. Anyway, you're probably running out of time.
All good, yeah.
Lynch Park, we just got a brand new parking lot at Lynch Park. That's something we've been aiming towards for a number of years, and it looks great. You know, it's been a challenge, but it gets so much use. People enjoy Lynch Park so much throughout the year.
No,
So that was a big one.
Well, Mike, Mr. Mayor, thank you for that. This has been great. Thank you for that update. And I'd like to remind our viewers that you have been watching City Scene with Mayor Mike Cahill. I'm your host, Walt Kosmowski, and we'll see you next time.